Hello everybody, this is Trina. I'm back again with my little idea book. Like I said, I came up with several more ideas, so I've got like, I don't know, 25 ideas. I don't know if I'll get to all of them, but I'm gonna try. Um, like I said, these are very inspiring, and I have, finally gotten to where I can actually get some things, done, and so for the most part, let's see, this is going to be my idea here. This is using the Hawthorn paper pack. I have leftovers of that, so I figured, you know what, might as well use them. If you have leftovers, you can definitely use them too. This stamp set will be available December 1st. It's the December stamp of the month from Close to My Heart called Reindeer Crossing. And the link to that will be in the description box below if you want to get your hands on that. I don't know how well this is going to work because it's like, a head on a plaque, which I don't particularly like. I don't want that in my house particularly, but I know that like I have family members and stuff like that that like to have that in their on their walls and stuff like that. So I thought this big guy, because he is kind of large for a card, right? He's kind of large for a card. So I decided, you know what, maybe I'll just trim him down and put him on a plaque. And maybe that will work. So I'm gonna see, and it kind of lends itself to a masculine card, so you could do a masculine Christmas or Thanksgiving, thinking of you, thankful, thank you, grateful, any of those things would work. So I figure, let's give this a try and see how it works. So here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna pull my little mini kit out and see what I can do. Now, there's stitching on that, oh, what is the name of that? Saffron. That piece of saffron there. It's pattern paper also from the Hawthorn collection, and I had roughed up the edges, and I had done the stitching, the faux stitching on the edges of it before, like, because I was doing another card, and then I decided not to use it, so it was technically from my scraps. But yeah, that is, oh my goodness, makes it so much easier when things are all, done. They kind of take a little bit of time out of the process, but that is something that I used from the stitched borders. Is it stitched borders? The decorative borders from Close to My Heart. So if you have those or something like those, that will work just fine. So this big guy here, I wanted, in my mind, I imagined him like a two-tone. Like the background is this, what is the color of the background? My goodness, I cannot remember these. I'm gonna say it's probably almond. I'm gonna say almond. The almond color, and it's the lighter side, I believe, of the almond color. And so I decided, I kind of wanted to see it two-toned, but I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do that. And then I remembered after I took it out of there that I was going to do, yeah, I just kind of went through this process without really knowing exactly what I had in mind when I had drawn the idea. But stamping was definitely part of the plan, but I was thinking, before I was thinking embossing, which is why I have the embossing ink, but then I'm thinking this time, I'm like, maybe I wasn't going to emboss, maybe I was just going to do, like a, just darken it like a watermark kind of, idea, and that's kind of what I did. And I don't know, I think I would have liked it a little bit darker, which had I put clear embossing powder on that, it would have worked out great. It would have been, the right, I think that would have been the right tone, but, well, it didn't happen. And I could not line these guys back up, so we got what we got. I put some powder from my anti-static powder on there to dry it up, and it worked. And it was the weirdest thing too, because when I dried it with the heat tool and then I put the anti-static tool over it and it actually darkened the lines, which is like, wait a minute, because that's a white powder. It should definitely lighten the lines, not darken the lines. But I'm going to add this to the front of the card, and then I'm going to figure out that, oh, maybe I was going to emboss them. And so then I actually just, I take it off there, because then I'm like, maybe I'll try to line the stamp back up, and then once I pull it out there, like, that's not gonna happen. So that's when I decide that, you know what, I'm just gonna deal with it the way it is. It's not a big deal. And then I realized I really need to dry that, and then I was like, oh, that kind of made it just a little bit darker. It's kind of hard to see, and I kind of sped it up a little bit, but it's definitely harder. It's hard to see, especially on film, but it's on there. When you look at the card, you can definitely see them in the background. So I still think they would have looked better embossed, which I don't really like putting embossing powder on my card after since I didn't use my anti-static pouch and all that kind of stuff, which I kind of did, but I didn't really, because I stopped and I was like, why am I using this? So yeah, that part of the process just kind of slipped my mind. So now I'm trying to figure out what I want to do as far as the actual head. And so I don't really have a darker, well, I guess I could have flipped over the paper, right? The almond, and used the darker side, but I didn't. So I just pulled something out of my stash that was just a chunk of something. I don't even know what brand it is. And it's definitely textured though. I was not expecting that. But it's just kind of a creamy color. And I'm going to go ahead and use the, this is Espresso from Close to My Heart. I love their ink pads. They're so nice. And then I'm going to dry it, because when I looked at it, I was like, that is shining at me, so it's just going to, if I accidentally touch it, it's going to spread. So I decided to go ahead and pull out my heat tool and dry it up as best I could, which well, yeah, I was going to say I could have put clear embossing powder over that too, or even done a metallic embossing powder, I don't know. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this guy out, and I do end up bringing out my self-healing mini cutting mat that I have that's making memories, I think, and cut this little guy out, all the little pieces in between his horns and everything too. So I really wanted to focus on getting the right amount of cardstock on the outer edge, border around the outer edge. So I'm kind of going a little slower than I normally do. And as you'll see, I will pull out my X-Acto knife and my little mini cutting mat and cut out those center things. I think it turned out nice though, because when you see it on the wall, like an actual one on the wall, you don't see the same color as the animal on the wall. I mean, unless it's painted the same color, but that's generally not the purpose, You want to be able to see them hanging on the walls. So I'm going to go ahead and trim some of these up, the things that I just kind of skipped over. And yeah, so then one of these I was accidentally flicked the knife a little farther than I needed it, and I was like, oh, I hope that didn't just chop off the horns. So it didn't, thankfully, but I was like, it's gonna suck if I have to redo all this. I didn't have to redo it all. I do think that I could have went in with a little bit of ink and like ink distressing, and just kind of toned him down a little bit so he's not quite so bright. But so now this one is an interesting idea that just popped in my head. I was like, that is very square. What am I going to do? It needs to be kind of decorative, but what do I have? What kind of dye do I have to decorate the edges? And I'm like, well, I guess I really like these corners and I like this faux stitching, so maybe I'll do that. And then I just wanted to double check that this was the right size and that I didn't want a bigger piece or anything like that. So now this gets a little crazy, but this is a great way to use your, decorative tags if you have them. So this one, I decided I wanted to cut those corners. And so I just lined it up and push it through, and then I kind of have a corner to base off of, so then I can just kind of scoot it over to the other corner and line up the lines, like the stitch lines, and it lines it up just before the cut edge, which is awesome. And then I decide, I need to not cut through my washi. I already did it last time and it was really, really hard to get it off. So, and I didn't want to rip anything. So I pulled that through, and I definitely left all 4 of these in there. So you can see it's already starting to take shape, and I love that it's actually working. I mean, when you pull something on, you're like, I wonder if this is going to work. I hope it works because I'm on camera. It's like, and it works. You're like, yay, I'm so excited. An idea actually worked. So I can't remember if I actually show you a close-up of this or not, but you don't really see a close-up of it, evidently. Gee. So the next step is kind of to mark, because I know that I don't want him all of that on there, so I decided to just go ahead and mark out what I wanted, and then I wanted to ink the edge because the rest of him is inked, right? So there's always a shadow there where the head's attached to the board, but that just sounds so wrong. That sounds so wrong. Oh, that sounds so wrong. But yeah. Of course, I haven't done any crafting for a few days, so I have to, fix my thing here. And I'm hoping that I'm centered, that I'm not too far either to one side or the other because of the angle that it should be. And so, this is just what I get, I guess. So I'm going to add foam tape to this, and then I'm going to, I don't know why I took that off exactly, but I'm going to actually use some vellum and use another stamp from the stamp set. And I know the vellum's kind of hard to see, but you'll see once I get going. I decided on StazOn, which I don't use very often, and you'll see that I end up kind of having to stamp things, put a lot of ink on there because my ink pad is kind of drying out. That is one thing I don't care much for with StazOn, is it does dry out fairly quickly. So I'm just trying to figure out how to line this up to where I can use it or stamp on it without, and with utilizing as much of the vellum as possible. And I think I stamp out 6 of these, 5 of these, 5.5 maybe, yeah, something like that. Yeah, so it works. I only left in cutting out one of them just so you guys got an idea of what I was doing. If you guys don't have a volume on there, because sometimes sometimes we can't have volume. So, but you can still kind of see the whole, see the idea and get the gist, so. Which I totally could have done with stamping all of these, but I didn't do that, of course, so. And I start out with my X-Acto knife, and then I think once I was just about done with the second one, I was like, psh, I'm going to use my scissors. Definitely going to use my scissors. The X-Acto knife is a little bit more tedious than scissors are, so you get to watch me X-Acto this, I don't know if it's X-Acto brand or not. I don't remember. I've had this one for so long. There we go. And of course you just want to leave a little border around the edge there. Just simply because you can't really cover it, you know what I mean? There's just no, unless you color it with inks, I guess. That would have worked. I could have added ink, but I just felt like there was so much going on already on the, I don't know, the green would have really stood out and made the whole thing stand out. That would be an idea if I redid the card another day, or remade one. And now I am adding it around the edge, and this, I don't know why I was having such a hard time figuring out where I wanted everything. It just wasn't going, like, I don't know. Maybe it was because I was missing the green, huh? Which very well could have been. And I don't know why, but the angle of everything just makes a difference for me. It just really, if it's wrong, it's just wrong, and it just doesn't feel right. And I don't want that to stick out quite as much as the other ones, which is nice because that one ended up being a lighter stamping, so it doesn't stick out near as much as the other ones. Yeah, I think the green would have been nice. So if you wanted to color in those, you definitely could have, or could. The tenses are so weird, like past tense, present tense, future tense, all that is so weird because I do the video, or I make the card with the, while doing the video, and then I have to, edit it, and so that time passes by, and so then that's in the past, but then you guys have the ability to make the same card in the future, and it's just like, it's so hard to remember which one I'm talking about at that moment because like I'm talking to the past. So it's weird. So inside I decide to go ahead and put a sentiment and a greeting and sentiment. Excuse me. I'm not sure what the yawning's about, but it's here. I go ahead and use the same Espresso ink because I want it to match the, the whatever ink I used on the front. That is something that I generally do, is pull in a similar ink. Now I had done some stamp surgery on this greeting in one of my previous videos, so I'm just lining up where they look good. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp those. And as you can see, the stamp surgery didn't make any difference. It took, I mean, I probably would have spent that amount of time adjusting anyways, just because I'm picky like that. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!